Hey guys, Kellen back here with Inside Out Precision, and before we get started on today's reviews, I want to talk a little bit about some of the questions that we've been getting on where the shop is and what we do here. So we're at the Bow Rack in Springfield, Oregon. I've been working here officially for about 3 years, although I've been running the kids league and coaching out of here for the last 6 or 7. This is the first place I came when I decided I wanted to get into bow hunting. And the owner, Wayne Endicott, was very instrumental in my development as both a competitive archer and a bow hunter. It's really hard in this sport if you don't have anybody to kind of teach you the ropes, and he did a phenomenal job and still does to this day with especially the youth, getting them involved in this awesome sport. So on top of being a full-service pro shop where we sell and work on bows, we also offer private lessons. So I do a lot of private lessons, Wayne does a lot of private lessons, and I think it's a really good thing to reach out to someone who has experience in coaching, because it's kind of funny how guys won't blink an eye to drop $1,500 or $2,000 on a setup, but they don't want to spend a couple $100 for 10 coaching sessions to actually learn how to shoot their amazing setup. So it's really beneficial. You can't see yourself when you're shooting, so it really helps to have somebody there to kind of watch and keep an eye on things. And just overall, it's a good way to progress your shooting to go to a coach. So if you're in the area, I'd love for you to stop by. We can set up an appointment. If you're not, I suggest either going on USA Archery's website and going on the coach locator, and any USA certified coach will pop up in your area, and you can contact them and get lessons going, or go to your local range and look for a local pro and just pick their brain. What I've noticed in the sport is that guys are very willing to help. They're not snobby. They want the sport to progress. They want to see people shooting well. We want to grow the sport. So generally, if you reach out and ask, people will help you. So I encourage that. Getting back to the equipment today, we're going to be doing a little bit different review. So today we're going to be doing a review on mid-range bows. And when I say mid-range bows, I mean mid-range price point bows. So not everybody has $1,500 or $2,500 to drop on the latest and greatest thing, but they want to get into the sport and they want to be able to at least have equipment that is quality equipment that isn't going to break the bank. There's a lot of stuff out there, like if you go to a Walmart or maybe your typical big box stores like Dick's or something like that, where you might be able to get a compound bow for $150, but it's going to shoot like a compound bow that's $150. Even though they label them as a beginning bow, they're actually a lot harder to use. They typically don't have a very big draw weight range or draw length range, and they're usually not very accurate. They're made with lots of plastic and kind of polymers, and they're just kind of a tough bow to shoot. So today I'm going to jump into a few bows. I'll give you the price point that we sell them at. Most people are going to be within $50 to $100 of that, depending on where you're buying. We don't have sales tax in Oregon, so keep that in mind. And yeah, let's jump into it. So the first bow I have, this is kind of starting at the upper end of what I would call the mid-range price point bow. This is the new Hoyt Nitrux, and they actually came out with this bow towards the end of last year as kind of an early 2019 release, and it's a really, really cool bow. So this bow is 31 inches axle to axle. It's got a 6.5 inch brace height, so pretty good combination of speed and forgiveness there. You can get it in 2 different cams. So the number 2 cam will go 24 to 27 inches, and the number 3 cam will go 27 to 30 inches. Now, generally speaking, these bows, it has a rotating module. The cams are most efficient towards the back end of their draw length. So if you have a 27-inch draw, I would recommend getting a number 2 cam and shooting it all the way lengthened out versus getting the 3 cam and shooting it in the shortest position, because essentially what I'm doing when I shorten this module up here and the draw stop is I'm just under rotating that cam, so it's not getting quite the full power stroke, hence a little less performance. So this bow IBOs at 333 feet a second, so it's no slouch on speed. I've had a chance to shoot it a little bit, and it's a really nice shooting bow. It's not the quietest bow in the world, it's not the smoothest bow in the world, but it certainly doesn't have a lot of hand shock. And with a couple string suppressors, you can make it a pretty darn quiet bow. I'm going to review the PowerMax in a little bit here. If you're familiar with that bow at all, this bow actually has the same riser as the PowerMax, but they've upgraded all the other features. So it's got a little bit different limb, a little higher performance limb. The limb pockets here are actually a machined aluminum. versus on the PowerMax, they're kind of like a high density polymer. The roller guards here, it has the roller guard on the for your cables versus the classic cable slide. A little less wear on strings, which is nice, and just a little smoother overall feel. You don't have to worry about that, your cable slide getting gummed up with dust or you know, something spilling on it and getting sticky. I've seen guys that, you know, spilled soda on it when they draw their bow, their little cable slide goes tink, 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 all the way back. And then it's got the new grip that they had on their RX1 series as well. So Hoyt's always, in my opinion, had really, really comfortable grips. They're fairly ergonomical. You can see the shape of it there. It's got a little indent on either side here for where your thumb and index knuckle go. It's got a really nice flat back to it. I really like the angle of it. It's got a nice deep valley here in the throat so that your hand doesn't slide up past the shelf. And then probably the biggest change they made is in the cam. So the PowerMax has a rotating module as well, but this cam more resembles the cam that was on the RX1 last year. It's not the exact same cam. The shape is very similar, but it has the rotating module. And if you aren't familiar with what a rotating module is, these little screws here, try and get that to focus on there. I can, without putting the bow in the press, I can change the draw length and then match the draw stop right here to the, oh, get in focus there. There we go. Change the draw stop to match the slot that I'm in here, and that will change my draw length, and I don't have to put it in the press for that. So whereas like the Matthews that I reviewed earlier, they have bolt-on modules that go on and off. Each one is draw length specific. This one is gonna have a 3-inch range. And again, it ranges from like 24 to 27 or 27 to 30. It's a really nice shooting bow. We're gonna do a speed test with it here in a minute. We sell this bow, bare bow, for $850 and $1175 in a kit, which is gonna come with your sight, stabilizer, a quiver, which I don't have on here right now, and then you still need to buy a release and arrows, but those are hard to put in a kit because they're so different person to person. But a really high-end, high-performing bow for less, in a package for less than you might spend on just a bow. For example, the new RX3s, those are selling for $15.99 bare bow. So you're gonna get everything in this bow for less than you would spend on the bare bow for a bow like that. So really, really cool bow. The next bow I'm gonna look at is the Hoyt PowerMax. So this bow has been out for a few years. It's been a really good seller for us. Again, for guys that want to get into something that's going to give them really good performance but not just completely break the bank, this is an awesome option. It's 30.5 inches axle to axle. It is IBOs at 328, so not the fastest bow in the world, but not a slouch. It has a 6 3/4 inch brace height, so a 1/4 inch longer than the Nitrux, which is why it has a little bit less speed, because that string just doesn't have as long of a power stroke. Again, same riser as the Nitrux, but not the, it's got different limbs and a different cam system. It also has the rotating module on it. So this cam, the larger cam, will go from 25.5 all the way up to 30 inches. So this is a great bow, especially if you have a teenager who's growing like a weed and you don't want to have to be buying new modules or new cams for them every 2 years. This bow will, from the time they're 5 foot tall to 6'2", this bow will fit them. The cam on them, they designed this cam specifically for the PowerMax. It's a really smooth drawing bow, easy to shoot. It's just a user-friendly bow. They know that the people buying this are generally going to be probably either beginners or someone without a ton of experience, so they want to make this a user-friendly bow, and I think they really nailed it on the head. Some of the features of it, again, compared to the Nitrux, this has, the limb pockets are more of a high-density polymer as compared to the machined aluminum ones on the Nitrux. It has your standard cable guard here and cable slide, whereas the Nitrux had the roller guard. And then it does have the string stop here, which is nice, helps deaden the vibration a little bit. And we'll do a speed test with this one as well in just a minute here. So they do have a smaller cam option with this that'll go from 24 to 25 inches for those people that have a shorter draw length, but it only has that 1 inch draw length adjustment. So if you're someone who's growing, I would probably recommend going with the bigger cam and getting that wider range of adjustment. So really cool bow. Like I said, we've sold a ton of these. We sell this one in a kit for $650. Bare bow is $499. So really affordable as far as quality bows go. And I think you won't be disappointed if you're looking to get into archery, but again, you don't want to spend, you know, over $1,000 on a setup, which I totally understand. So we'll get back to this one when we go through the chronograph. The next bow I have is this is actually brand new from Pse. So this is the Pse Drive X. Last year they had the Pse Drive, which was a little shorter axle to axle. It was only 30 inches axle to axle. This bow is 33 inches axle to axle. Again, it's got the rotating module there. So I can go from, this bow will go from 26 all the way up to 32 inches. So for those of you that have a really long draw, you know, we get some guys that come in that are 6'6", 6'7", and they need a really long draw. This bow will go all the way out to 32. It also has a 6 3/4 inch, or excuse me, a 7-inch brace height, so a really forgiving bow. And for those of you who may not understand why a longer brace height, which is the brace height is the distance from the deepest part of the grip to the string here. For those of you who may not know why a longer one is more forgiving, it's because basically this string is stopping shorter. If I had a 5-inch brace height, that string would have to travel another 2 inches. So the arrow gets off the bow quicker, thus meaning you have less time to screw something up. Just based on the human reaction time, most torque and, you know, dropping of the arm or something, the little tiny mess ups you do on the front end are going to come in the last, you know, 8 to 6 inches of the draw cycle, of the shot cycle. So having an arrow that gets off that string a little faster means that the arrow will not be affected quite as much as if it was still on the string traveling forward. So that's why, you know, a longer brace height will give you a little more what they call forgiveness. This bow IBOs at 325, so a little bit slower than the PowerMax, but we sell this bow in a kit for $650 as well. So a really good price point bow. I've been really impressed with this bow. I really like the grip on the PSEs. It's a really tournament style grip, so it's narrow, it's got a great angle to it, a very flat back on it. Lots of guys will put like really high grit or fine grit sandpaper on here just because it is pretty smooth, and if your hand is wet or it's raining outside or it's sweaty, you know, you might slide around. So lots of guys will put a little thing of grip tape just right there. You know, the skinnier grips aren't for everybody, but generally if you have your hand in the correct position, they should fit really well. It does have plastic, or not plastic, but like a polymer limb pocket versus machined aluminum, and it does have your standard cable slide as well, whereas most of the high-end bows that we've been reviewing in the past have the roller guard system. But bows were shot like this for a very long time. You know, if it's a quality cable guard here, you shouldn't get a lot of string wear. You know, they should last the life of your string before you need to replace it. So again, $499 bare bow, $650 in a kit. Very cool bow. So I'm going to set all these bows at the same draw length. I'm going to set them at 28 inches, and we're going to run 4 different weight arrows through them, so you guys can get a pretty good idea of this kind of speeds you can expect. Then I'll take them out to 29, and we'll do the same thing. All right, so I'm here at the chronograph. I've got the Hoyt Nitrux here. I've got this at 70 pounds and set at 28 inches. In the interest of time, because I've got 3 bows here, I'm not gonna do multiple draw lengths, but generally you can expect about a 10-foot a second difference for every inch of draw length. So add 10 feet if you're 29 inches, subtract 10 feet if you're 27 inches. The first arrow I'm gonna shoot, this is an Axis 300. It's almost full length. It's coming in right at 490 grains. Get my light on here. There we go. So again, 490 grains, 70 pounds, 28 inches, Hoyt Nitrux. And this is a right-handed bow, so forgive my funky form. .260. I don't have my cameraman here to show you the speed today, so you're just gonna have to take my word, but that was 260. The next arrow I have here is a 449, so basically 450 grain arrow, real common weight. .270, so 10 foot a second jump with 40 grains difference. And then this is a 400 grain arrow, right at 400, 400.3. This bow actually draws really nice, and you can hear it does not have a lot of noise on the shot. 290 with a 400 grain arrow. So at 28 inches, 400 grain arrow, getting 290. That's pretty darn good speed. I'm gonna jump in and grab the PowerMax next. All right, so I'm back with the PowerMax. I've got 490 grain arrow. This is, again, 28 inches, 70 pounds, and this bow is left-handed, so I've got the camera flipped around here, but let's see what she does. Right at 252, so 8 feet a second slower than the Nitrux, with all the stats being the same. Next, we have the 450 grain arrow. .261, so about the exact same in terms of the feet per second jump, 10 feet a second with 40 less grains. Actually, I guess 9 feet. Here is the 400 grain arrow. .271. So literally, for about every 40 or 50 grains, you're getting a 9 to 11 foot a second jump with the PowerMax. So really not bad, not nearly as fast as the Nitrux. Definitely seems to be a more efficient cam. It was going 290 with the 400 grain arrow, so this is 20 feet a second slower, or 19 feet a second slower. But again, you know, at 28 inches with a 400 grain arrow going 270 feet a second, that's a good speed. Not super fast by any means, but it's an easy bow to shoot. Just an overall good speed. So now I'm going to jump into the Pse Drive X, and we'll shoot that. All right, we're back with the Pse Drive X. This is another right-handed bow, so I'm flipping and flopping, but again, going to start with the 490 grain arrow. I'm expecting this bow to be slower. It's got the longest brace height of them all. It's the slowest IBO of them all. Again, this is 325. The PowerMax is 328, and the Nitrux was 333. So I'm expecting this to be a little slower, but let's see. It's got a really nice let off and a really solid back wall. 247. So right about, it's almost exactly the difference in IBO speeds between the PowerMax and this. Not real fast. It's got a little bit more hand shock. It's not really a vibration, it's just got a little thump, like if somebody was flicking me really lightly, like right in the palm of my hand. So here's the 450 grain arrow. .264. So that's actually surprising. That's actually a little bit faster than the PowerMax was with that weight arrow. So it's good, it's an efficient cam. And the 400 grain arrow. Bow it's got a really nice draw cycle, really smooth. Even though it's right-handed, I can still get a pretty good feel for it. 400's coming in at 282, so pretty good jump. Kind of blew me away there. I was expecting it to be a lot slower than that. It's actually pretty darn fast. A little faster than the difference with the PowerMax. So hopefully this helps you guys if you're looking for a bow. You know, if you're a first-time buyer or you're experienced, and you just want to get a quality bow, but again, you don't want to spend, you know, your entire tax return on it. Any three of these bows would be a great option. So I encourage you to either swing by the shop here. We'd love to set them up for you, let you shoot them, or go by your local pro shop. You know, if they deal these bows, go in and shoot them. Hit the link to subscribe. Remember, precision is a decision. Please feel free to comment below, and we'll see you next time.